Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Escher, and this time I played 100 games of the Legends of Runeterra using the Azir Darius aggro deck. This deck has been picking up popularity the last couple of weeks in response to the quick aggro of Blade Dance, so I put it to the test with 100 games on the ranked ladder. This deck caught my attention because it was originally being touted as the aggro killer and a direct counter to Azir Irelia. There are a lot of slightly different versions of this deck, and I swapped in and out cards a lot in the beginning, but ultimately landed with a list resembling Morpidorp's deck. This is a highly aggro deck that needs to win before turn 8 at the latest. Its strongest strategy is to mulligan hard for Bakai Reaper and use its Fearsome to get past most of the opponent's early blockers, while also getting buffed with slays from your other units, like House Spider and Dunekeeper. Building a wide board to overwhelm your opponent will set you up to win with Noxian Fervor or Decimate later on. Sometimes it's wiser to not block and take a hit in order to set up a killer open attack in the next turn. Mid-range or control decks are very poor matchups for us. They often pack AoE damage like Avalanche or Withering Wail, along with Nexus healing that will negate all of the burn damage you may be able to do. These are the worst matchups for our deck and are likely a loss if you haven't found lethal by turn 7. Let's take a look at the top 5 decks I faced. Number 1. I saw more Azir Irelia this time than I ever have, but was able to win almost 2/3 of my 24 games against it. As I mentioned, this matchup is favorable for our deck, and with Bakai Reaper early on, you can even benefit from the numerous blades and sand soldiers the opponent throws at you, hopefully winning before either of their champs are leveled. Number 2. Thresh Nasus also showed up more than ever at 14 games. This is a poor matchup for our deck, as I was only able to get in 4 wins. They often copy our Bakai Reaper strategy, but also have the benefit of Withering Wail to heal and kill most of our units on board. Since Thresh and Nasus also get buffs from slays, the opponent simply gets to their win condition faster than we do. Number 3. As we've become accustomed to, TLC is the 3rd most popular deck, but trailing far behind the other two, showing up only 6 times for me. This is also a bad matchup for our deck, as the spells from Freljord can not only clear our board, but also heal the opponent's Nexus while getting them closer to their win con by giving them mana gems. Our small units crumble to Trundle and Thralls, and there's never anything that can be done about the Watcher. Number 4. Designed as another counter to the aggro meta, Dragons is an equally bad matchup for us. We can sometimes get early damage in with a wide enough board, but combat tricks like Sharp Sight, Single Combat, or Concerted Strike whittle down our units quickly. While the specific combo of Shyvana, Aesol, and Zoe came up 6 times, there were plenty of other decks relying on variations of those 3. Number 5. Mirror matches are inevitable when you're playing on the ladder, and it's always comforting to see that other people are trying the same strategy. One mirror match inspired me to swap in a couple copies of Iron Ballista for more overwhelm damage, but as with most mirror matches, it all comes down to a race to the win condition and who can draw better. I was able to win 3 out of these 5 matches. I also wanted to include a few more decks as honorable mentions. I saw our old favorites of Braum Vlad, Ezreal Draven, and All-in Fiora each 3 times. These matchups varied for us, but were all won by the same strategy of putting down a wide board and buffing units with Arena Battlecaster or Brothers Bond. These 5 most common decks made up a whopping 55% of my matches, showing that the meta has become fairly locked ahead of the next seasonals, and players are either practicing their matchups or trying to push up as far as they can in hopes of qualifying, or at the very least hit Masters. I had high hopes for this deck, especially since I prefer an aggro playstyle, but the amount of unfavorable matchups resulted in a disappointing 47% overall win rate. This is not a very good deck for climbing right now. I started in Platinum 2 and bounced around a lot before landing back down in Platinum 3. As always, these games were all on the North American Shard after patch 2.9 landed. Ultimately, there are many other decks that have the same strategy as this, and will probably do it more consistently, if not better overall. As prominent as Azir Irelia is, there are even more mid-range or control decks that prove to be terrible matchups. It can be a good matchup against Azir Irelia in Gauntlet, Duo Q, or in tournaments, but this shouldn't be your pick if you want to climb out of Platinum. If you want to try this deck for yourself, here's what I used. You can find the code below in the description or in my Mobalytics profile with the rest of the decks featured in my 100 games series. If you want to suggest decks for me to put to the 100 games test, leave them in the comments or feel free to tweet at me. Until next time, thanks again for watching and have fun out there.